following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby.
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break.
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Wednesday, September 4th, 2019, Season 15, Episode number 36. Welcome to another edition of The Break. We are live in the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, at a poppin' Star. Like, a lot of stuff going on today. Cowboys get their guy back. Ezekiel Elliott is in the building, or at least on the practice field today, ready to start preparing himself for this upcoming game, the first game of the season, and with a much, much bigger bank account than either of us will ever experience, I assume. But got my guys here, Nick, Dave, Amber back with us. How's everybody feeling this morning?
I feel great. There is nothing better for the adrenaline system, the old shock start, than the 6 a.m. work group text.
Right.
we talk about how we don't like to hear from you at 10 p.m. Well, it's interesting hearing from you at 5:45 a.m. too. Yeah. Hell of a start to the old day. I mean, we knew it was coming, but...
And you guys were well prepared. Everybody's well prepared.
You're as well prepared as you can be, but still, wasn't expecting to have my MacBook in my lap with me at 5:45 this morning in my bed.
Well, let's jump right in. I want to get some opinions from all three of you guys. I want to go around the table. When you heard about the news that they got the deal done and for the amount of money that they got it done, tell me what your initial reaction was. Nick, let's start with you.
That Zeke, did exactly what he wanted to do, and he pushed the issue here and he won. Not to say that the Cowboys lost, they're still getting a great running back, the best in the league, in my opinion. But they had to come his way. They said they weren't going to set the market, but they did. And he's a Cowboy for life, and he didn't go to training camp, and now he gets to play this first game, and he gets $50 million guaranteed. I think he's a winner.
That's a fun thing, though, is did they set the market? It depends on how you want to look at it. It's a 6-year extension that sets the market. It's also an 8-year contract that puts him very comfortably down in about third place, $12.8 million per year, I think. So I think both sides get what they want. I'm curious to know, and this will come out over time, but how it's structured, the guarantees, how front-loaded it, how backloaded is it, how quickly can you get out of this, how much is voided if Zeke steps out of line.
That all matters.
It matters
so
tremendously,
much, yeah.
And that's what a week ago we were like, it's going to get done. He'll probably be here for week 1. What's it look like? And we know the money. We still don't know that. It's an 8-year contract for a running back. I mean, are we kidding ourselves? Let's be real. We're all very excited he's back, but what are the odds he plays to the end of that deal? No, sorry.
Yeah.
Go
No,
ahead.
you're good. No, I'm just happy that, one, he got what he wanted, but he did it in a way where he didn't ruin relationships. I mean, you hear Jerry Jones talk about him, you hear Jason Garrett talk about him, and they all speak very highly of him and talk about how much they love him, how important he is to the team. I'm really glad that along the way, he didn't do it in a nasty way where he comes out here and then people are just negative about it. Or, everyone's happy, everyone's in it, and it's great to see that kind of relationship and chemistry around the team.
Are you guys surprised at all that the guarantees were so high? When I looked at the deal, my initial reaction is, okay, 6 years, probably a little bit high, but whatever. $90 million overall, okay, whatever. The $50 million guaranteed is the part that kind of took me aback, just because that is setting the market. That's higher than Gurley, who had previously, I think he got like 45, 47, somewhere in that range. But he was significantly, well, I should say, just above what Gurley got. Did that all surprise you guys that he got more in guaranteed money?
I would say yeah, because that's what we talked about a week ago, is that the guarantees, the lack of trust that he's going to be available are really the only issue that you have with Zeke. His on-field performance is impeccable. And I mean, that's what it took, I guess. And that's why, but I do want to know, how's that going to hit you 3 years from now, 4 years from now, if you do decide to part ways or if he declines or whatever might arise. Because if it's not structured in a way to let you out of it in a few years, then it's a bad deal, in my opinion. I am going to assume that it is well structured. I don't know that off the top of my head right now, but an 8-year contract for anybody should give you some pause, especially for the guy that plays the most physical position.
The guarantees have got to be right off the bat. I mean, I don't know any other way that they could structure it. I mean, it's got to be this year's roster is guaranteed. They got to have roster bonuses early on. You got to have a signing bonus, right now, which a bulk of it. I mean, you got to do as much as you can within the frame of the salary cap. I mean, because I know there was a report they've got all this money on the cap, but they had a running back that was making $3 million a year. I don't know how much he was hitting towards the cap, but now it's a lot more than that. And so, to make this thing work, like Dave's saying, a lot of it's got to be structured. A lot of it's got to be guaranteed sooner rather than later. You can't have a 30-year-old running back making $4 million a year guaranteed.
Previous experience with deals leads me to believe that this is really like a 3 or 4 year deal, not an 8-year deal. But I don't know right now. But I'm going to assume that that's the case, and if that's it, then that's the cost of doing business. And $50 million guaranteed. I mean, that's what Gurley got for a 4-year deal. So really, and let's say he does play out the whole thing, then it becomes a bargain. Assuming we don't have to do this again, it's a bar. I mean, and I know.
Yeah, no, and actually, I was going to say that's actually a great point from the standpoint that if you get, let's say 6 years from now, and he's still producing at a high level, at the same level or similar level to what he's producing right now, then you are. Because guess what? Yeah, he will be a Hall of Famer. But the point will be these numbers are just going to keep going up every year with Alvin Kamara will get more, and whoever else comes after him will get more, and these guys will keep getting more and more and more. So you get 4, 5, 6 years down the road, Zeke will be a little lower down that pecking chart as far as amount of money. Now, the problem with that is, as we just saw in this instance, he still had 2 years left on this deal and went back to the well.
Yeah.
So what makes you think if that's happening at that point, he's not going to do the exact same thing and say, I want a new deal?
Yep.
The oodles and oodles and oodles of history that suggests that running backs hit a pretty sharp decline by the time they're 27, 28, 29.
Unless you're just so special.
Yeah.
Which he could be. Who knows?
If he's Adrian Peterson, then this deal was a bargain. And if he's not Adrian Peterson, then I would bet you can get out of this after a certain period of time.
Is there a report on the signing bonus?
Not yet. That's the thing is,
that's got to be very high.
The agreement comes first, and then the terms, and then, maybe even a week from now, we'll start to hear about the specifics of it all.
Because if you think about it, if you get a high signing bonus, it's why you would extend it and make it a 6-year deal, just so you can kind of cut that up and spread it over the course of 6 seasons, really 8 seasons if you put it in right now. So I would imagine when this numbers come out, I would imagine that the signing bonus is going to be relatively high. That's why you make it stretch it out for so long.
All right, so let's get into expectations for this Sunday. What do you guys expect to see when Sunday comes around and the Cowboys take the field against the New York Giants? How much do you expect to see Ezekiel Elliott? Amber?
Well, again, like they keep saying, we just have to see how he responds to these next few practices. But I would like them to throw him in there a little bit. I think this is the perfect game to do that, where you're going up against the Giants. You don't really have to worry. I know we'll get into the Giants defense and all that, but you don't really have to worry about getting a guy like Zeke in there. You got other guys that can do that, Tony Pollard. So this is the perfect game to ease him in. We've mentioned similar things with Byron Jones. I don't know if he'll be playing or not, but just throw him in there a little bit and get him a good feel for it. He can definitely handle the Giants with no problem.
I'm starting to get nervous at the way, and I include myself in that, like a lot of writing off of the Giants going on from the outsider's perspective, not the team, but us.
Those are always bad situations when it just everything says one thing in the NFL, especially at the beginning of the season. It worries me.
There's no way it can be the other way. Right?
It shouldn't be. It should not be.
I've seen crazier things happen.
Yeah.
I would expect him to be out there for the first snap of the game. I don't know. I mean, it's dumb, but I think that matters. I mean, you just gave him this money. Like, half the crowd's going to be wearing 21 jerseys and chanting Zeke and all that stuff, and get the first carry of the season. But, like, he'll be on some kind of pitch count, I would think. Like, no more than 30 snaps. If they play 65, 70 snaps in a game, like maybe half of it.
I agree. I think that he'll start. I think Tony Pollard will play more than what Rod Smith did, and I think that they'll have a little bit more of a rotation there. But I don't think that you're really going to see a big difference this week because I think we signed him. We made this big fuss. Everybody's talking about it. Let's put him out there, and it'll also determine on how he's playing in the game. But like I said yesterday, the freak factor has to weigh in here, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out if this guy can come in from Cabo on Tuesday and play and be effective on Sunday.
I would be surprised if he gets more than like a dozen or so carries, though.
A dozen?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you want to put 30 carries on a guy who just came back from Cabo.
It's a big difference, though. I mean,
between 12 and 30.
Yeah. I mean, I don't 30 is a lot, but 12, I think if you can have a good first half, you can get more than 12.
I would be surprised if he gets more than 20. Let's put it that way.
All right.
Yeah. And he doesn't have to get all carries. He can still be out there
Sure.
and just moving around, get a good feel for it.
I'd say, I mean, 30 snaps, and you assume he's not going to get a touch on every single snap. So probably somewhere around 12 to 15 carries.
Yeah,
pick up that blitz.
Yeah,
right, and that's a big part of it because you other than that, like you don't have a lot of experience back there at running back. So having a guy that can pick up the blitz probably is a good thing, and you don't lose learning how to do that. If he knows how to pick up the blitz, he should know how to pick up the blitz, right? Whether he's been at practice or not.
It'll be fun to see how they play this because they're not just gonna throw him out there for the first half and then they're like, well, you hit your count and it's the fourth quarter.
Right.
The Giants are down 3, but they're like, well, he got his 30 snaps. We're not putting him out there. So they're going to have to be judicious about this, assuming they don't feel comfortable just giving him everything. We've joked for years about Alfred Morris gets the third possession of the game, no matter what, if he's humming or not. So I would guess there's going to be some mixing and matching. Hopefully it's not too frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I went back and put some numbers to it yesterday. We talked about how Zeke has started the season these last 3 years. Check this out. In the first 3 years, first 2 games of the season, his average is 3.7 yards per carry, and he has about 66 yards per game. Third game and beyond, 4.8 yards per carry and 108 yards per game. That's a little over a yard per carry more and about 44 yards per game more. He's not been a guy that traditionally has had a great start. So I think we should just kind of pull it down just a little bit. He'll be back. That's the great part about it. See what happens. I also want to see how much adding in a different kind of back that they can kind of mix in with him helps that a little bit because, that I think they probably have a little bit more excitement at the backup running back position than they've probably had in quite a while. And maybe that helps with getting, defenses a little bit off kilter a little bit. But we'll see.
It would be fun just imagine Zeke has a very solid but pedestrian 12 carries for 50 yards, maybe even a touchdown. But Tony Pollard averages, he has a 75-yard run or something.
But that actually
would create a hell of a conversation on the morning talk shows.
Tony Pollard actually may be able to make this deal actually make a ton of sense, if that makes some sense. Because if you have a running back that actually really can legitimately give Zeke time off the field, for him to not have to have the number of touches and carries that he's had in previous years, you may actually be able to see a good part of this 6-year deal, this 8 years that they have him under contract. You might be able to see him get through most of that because you're not working him at the same pace that you worked him those first 3 years. So it'll be important for Tony Pollard or somebody to be able to be a good spell type back, somebody that can come in and give you some good production so that Zeke doesn't have to carry that full load.
And I don't think, though, we're talking about other backs. They have to make a move here for when Zeke officially goes on the roster. So it would make sense that one of these running backs would not be here.
Explain to me where they are right now. What is the deal? Because obviously he's back, but is he on the roster? Because there hasn't been another move.
The way I understand it is, in these situations, you're usually granted an exemption by the NFL. He can be here without you having to make a move. You get the 3 days to evaluate him without having to kick somebody off your team. And if he plays, which he will, then they have to make a move by Saturday probably. Right. So, if I had to guess right now, it'd probably be Alfred Morris.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it has to be a running back, or do you think in this instance, because I know yesterday you guys were saying maybe you keep that extra running back just so you kind of mix between the 3 guys, but do you think it has to be Alfred Morris? Do you think it's most likely going to be Alfred Morris?
Well, it doesn't have to be, obviously, but they brought Jordan Chun up Now maybe they decide to put him back down, but I think he's a special teams guy. I think you're going to try to figure out a way to get him to the game. We've said all along, if Zeke's here, I mean, Alfred was only signed when Zeke wasn't here, so I think,
it's all about
and guaranteed.
I said during the summer I thought Alfred would be on the team regardless, which maybe not, because again, the 46-man roster, 2 running backs that don't play special teams, that's hard to work with.
And his salary, I believe, since he's on the roster on Tuesday, I believe his salary now is guaranteed for the entire season. Alfred Morris. And all veterans.
And the likelihood is you could probably keep him around, and if you need to re-sign him back, you can re-sign him back, I would think.
Cutting him on Saturday does not mean he's done with this team by any stretch.
If they were really going to just cut him and say, see you later, I mean, would they even let him change numbers? I mean, would they go through that process? Like, oh, let's change numbers, and be like, you're about to be cut anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you tell the guy if he's like, I want this jersey number? You're like,
about to be cut anyway.
We're gonna cut you in a couple of days.
You sure about that? You sure you want to change?
I don't know
if we can't do that because we've got Scandrick. We're gonna retire his number or something like that. I don't know.
Just as protection, I would probably want to keep Alfred Morris because I'd probably make him inactive every week, but just having that insurance in the event that if you don't feel great about Pollard being able to be your workhorse back in the event Zeke goes down, then I think that gives you a little bit of insurance knowing that Zeke has been out of training camp. Gives you a little bit of insurance just in case something should happen here, in this time when he's having to kind of reacclimate himself to the NFL and to playing football. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Giants offense. I misspoke yesterday. Me and Dave talked about it. He's going to do offense today. We'll talk about the Giants offense versus the Cowboys defense. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right, news and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
The excitement of Dallas Cowboys football is back at AT&T Stadium.
The place is going crazy in Arlington, Texas.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys live when they host their NFC East rivals, the Eagles, Giants, and Redskins, plus the Green Bay Packers and more.
Elliott works his way through and walks the dog.
Single game tickets are on sale now. Get them before they're gone.
First and goal, quarterback sneak. Prescott pushes up the middle. Touchdown.
Visit DallasCowboys.com to get your tickets today.
Back to the break.
You want the ultimate fan experience? For the ultimate Cowboys fan, you got to join Dallas Cowboys United. Only $20. You get exclusive DCU. That's Dallas Cowboys United. Fan pack and member benefits. Visit DallasCowboys.com/United to become a member today.
Welcome back.
There? I hit my knee on the console. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Welcome back to the break. We're live from SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We've been talking about Zeke's contract. We're going to talk about the Giants here coming up today. We're going to focus in on the Giants offense. Before we do that, Nick, though, give me a quick update on injuries. There are a lot of guys that toward the end of training camp were kind of out and getting back into practice. Tell me where we are heading into this first full practice before the Giants game as far as injuries are concerned.
Well, the main guys that were banged up that all came back last week, I mean, the key one I think was Byron Jones. I mean, Byron is a guy that we thought might be limited with a hip injury for this game. And he might be, but he looked like he was okay out there. He was practicing and did some good things there. I think Zach Martin was back, Amari Cooper, Tyron Smith, DeMarcus Lawrence, Tyron Crawford. I mean, they all not only did they practice Monday, but seemed to respond well and practice on Wednesday. So we'll find out today on an official injury report. I'm probably missing some guys like a Darian Thompson and all that.
Thompson and Wilson are still out.
Which Wilson? I feel
Donovan,
like we got
sorry.
6.
Well, Cedric's on the practice squad now, technically.
Damian is gone.
Is Blake already doing some things?
Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz are both going.
It just doesn't register to me.
Yeah, I saw Blake out there. Yeah.
Blake.
Donovan Wilson,
Silverthorne,
Darian Thompson. There was a third guy. Oh, Luke Gifford, which you're not going to see him.
We'll see him for a while. And even if you were healthy, I'm not certain you're going to see him.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean Byron. He was doing pre-practice walkthrough. He was doing practice. Like I don't know what that means. Like I've heard whispers that maybe he's on a snap count too, and don't just give him the whole workload right away. But early signs are positive.
I want to do inactives right now.
Do you?
I mean,
just messing up Derek's whole flow.
No, I know it's a Friday thing, and things will change by then. But it'll be interesting to see how they do this.
It'll be very interesting once everybody's back and healthy. And what I mean back is you got Quinn back from suspension,
right?
And then you got everybody healthy. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to do because they got a lot of decisions they'll have to make with some of those guys.
Quinn coming back. I'm kidding.
Stop it. All right, let's get into the Giants. Dave, you're going to give us your assessment of this Giants offense. Walk us through this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I always say I like to watch at least like 2 games of tape when we do this, just so I have some kind of clue. But I'm sorry, I'm not going to watch more preseason football. I'm over that. I watched enough with the Cowboys. Plus, Daniel Jones did most of it for them anyway. And honestly, as much as I made fun of the pick in April, like I'm pumped that it's going to be Eli Manning. I know what we've got in Eli. He's capable of beating you, but you know what you've got. It's like your annoying cousin who comes in for holidays. You're like, all right, like I can handle this for 4 hours. So yeah, I feel good about that. I'd much rather play Eli than the young stud. I bet you the next time they play this game, Daniel Jones will be the quarterback. A reckless prediction on my part because they play in like October, don't they? Or November.
And he hasn't missed a game since.
Eli? He hasn't missed a game since.
No, they would have to bench him.
Like from injury.
Yeah, they would likely have to bench him.
Or maybe it's like you're injured, right, Eli? You hurt your ankle in that game.
No, I'm not injured. No. I'm good.
But just without looking at it, I mean, I don't know. I know the NFL turns over a lot, but like this is just such a different team than it was a year ago. I mean, Odell Beckham's gone. Olivier Vernon's gone. Landon Collins is gone. I know those are defensive guys, but I mean, your jersey sellers are all gone.
Frontline guys, yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what this looks like. Like we said, everybody's kind of writing them off just because there's not. No, that's not true. Because Sterling Shepard, we know he broke his finger early in the preseason. He's back. He's ready to go. We kind of figured that might be the case. So him and Evan Ingram are your main receiving threats, and then Saquon. I shouldn't need to say much more else than that, honestly.
Let's throw out the part that Golden Tate was signed and he's
suspended.
Yes, so don't have to worry about him until November when you play.
No, I mean honestly, Sterling Shepard's a really good player, but Benny Fowler, who was with the Rams for forever, I think he was with San Francisco last year. Cody Latimer, not Lattimore. Big draft pick with the Broncos who never really panned into anything. My guy Russell Shepard, the former LSU quarterback who is still collecting a paycheck in the NFL 10 years later. Good for him. But
that's the receivers, all those guys you named?
Sterling Shepard, Benny Fowler, Cody Latimer, Russell Shepard. That's your top 4. Then Evan Ingram is legitimately a dynamic receiving tight end, more of a big slot than a tight end, basically. Something to watch, but like that, with what we've seen from this secondary, don't you feel pretty comfortable with that matchup? Am I crazy?
That big dude to the ground. I mean, get him to the ground. I mean, he's got really strong thighs, legs. I mean, he's hard to tackle.
Oh, you're talking about Saquon.
Get him to the ground.
I thought you were talking about Ingram for a minute. He's like, for a tight end, he's actually not that big.
I'm just saying, when it comes to playing the Giants, I think that's everybody's key. Tackle that guy and make sure he doesn't get loose and go crazy on you.
This was a team that last year gave up 47 sacks of Eli. That was the 6th most in the league. What is their offensive line like? Did they upgrade it? Is it pretty much the same as what it was last year?
Flowers still there?
No.
No.
Actually, you're going to get Flowers in week 2, though.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's with Washington now. Nate Solder's still there. Will Hernandez, the big draft pick. John, Jalapio or Jalapio.
Who are you?
Pretty actually underrated center in my opinion.
He's just ready to hit the button. He was like, I'm going to hit somebody.
And then, Odell Beckham is gone, but Kevin Zeitler, he's their new right guard, a very, very good right guard. So, like this, the offensive line has been a joke for the Giants for like 5 years. I don't know. It's not a joke anymore.
Solid. It's better.
I would call it good.
Okay.
It's a good offensive line. It's certainly better than it was when they were throwing Flowers out there at left tackle 4 or 5 years ago. So combine that with Saquon and a quarterback who knows what he's doing, even if he's on the decline. Like, that's nothing to scoff at. I still think it matches up pretty well with the Cowboys. I mean, we've been talking, this is the most talent they've had on their D-line in a decade. You just paid one of your linebackers, and the other one was an all-pro last year. Like, step it up. Let's go, in my opinion.
We're going to quickly take our final break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you guys the question. The last time that we saw this Cowboys team in a regular season, or not a regular season, in a game that meant something, they were getting run over by the Los Angeles Rams. Now they face Saquon Barkley. Do you think they're ready for this challenge? We'll talk about that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
It's right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus!
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store and learn how to buy one smartphone and get a second one on us. Based on GWS 1 score, September 2018.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. It is the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're talking about the Giants offense. Cowboys will take on the Giants this Sunday, 3:35 is the kick time at AT&T Stadium in Arlington. Before the break, I was asking you guys, the last time we saw this team on the field, they were playing the Rams, and that wasn't a good day for them from the standpoint of stopping the run. Now you face what is, in my opinion, if not the best in one of the top 2 to 3 running backs in the NFL, and Saquon Barkley. You think they're up for the challenge? How comfortable do you feel that they can handle this challenge?
A lot better than that game. I don't really know if the Rams. I understand that Gurley is really good, but the Rams' offense is, to me, what makes that so good. They were so dynamic. They have a really good quarterback, throws it down the field, good receivers, speed. A lot of things you have to account for. And I'm not saying that the Giants don't have. Well, they don't have as much as what the Rams did, and that was evident by their records and how far they finished and all that stuff. So I do think it's more of a one-man show with the Giants. You can't take those guys for granted, but I think that it's a much different animal when you're facing the Rams and what they've got going on.
Our main impression from the Rams game like how out of character it was?
Mm-hmm. Well, we saw it twice toward the end of last year. We saw the same thing happen with the Colts, right? And again, if you're saying that this offensive line is a little bit better and you're facing a really, really talented running back, Are you convinced that, or do you feel good about the fact that this defensive front can make stops in the running game against a guy like that?
I remember saying this last year about the offense. Actually, I was like, my expectations start at 0, and based on what I've seen, this is why I have confidence to believe this, that, and the other. And the offense proved me wrong, and I said that like 2 weeks into the season. But the body of work from last year, the amount of guys that are back, and what they've looked like during the preseason, which is awesome in all of the looks that we've gotten. Like, my base expectation is like, yeah, they should be good and they should be up to this. Like, that's not to say, Saquon Barkley's going to make some plays. He ran for 100 yards in that game in Week 17, 108 with a long of 68, which I have no memory of that whatsoever, but I'm sure it happened. But like, they're up to this, I think, until they prove me wrong. Because again, the Rams game and the Colts game were such bizarre outliers because they were so strong against the run for most of that season.
And as opposed to the Rams, like Nick was mentioning, right now you have a lot less elements to worry about. So you can use your defense differently, where you can focus more on stopping him rather than having to deal with all these other aspects. Now, I remember last year we were trying to figure out whether to buy into the whole defense or not. Right now I'm completely bought in. I am bought in. I feel really, really good about the defense. I feel good about the defensive line. DeMarcus Lawrence, just looking at him, and every time he makes a post, his energy just hypes you up even more. So I feel good. I'm not concerned whatsoever. And that game against the Rams, I forgot about it. I've moved on. I'm focused on now, and I think they're going to stop the Giants pretty good.
Yeah, one thing to note about Saquon Barkley, you can stop him a lot during the game, but where he made his money last year was on those big plays. You noted that 68-yarder. Check this out. Last year, 20-plus yard runs, he was a leader in the league with 16. The next closest person had 11. With 40-plus yard runs, he had 7. Again, first in the league. The next closest was 4. He made his living off of those big plays. So you can stop him a lot. What you have to worry about is then you got that one run that happens in his 11th carry, and now he takes it to the house 50 yards out.
But then we'll have our run. We'll have our run. You score a touchdown. You got a touchdown pass to Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. We got even Jason Witten, include him in there. We got a lot of stuff to come back.
And how far is Jason Witten running here? 40? No.
Okay, not a big run. I'm talking when you're in the red zone right there. Boop, easy. Touchdown.
And that's the part that could help here, and we'll get into that when we talk about the Cowboys offense versus the Giants defense tomorrow. If the Cowboys can get their offense rolling and get the kind of lead that takes the running game away from the Giants, now you have to worry about Saquon still as a pass catcher, but it does change the dynamics of the game a little bit if they can't just get back there and just try to pound the ball the entire game.
He's going to get them. He will. That's just football, especially at the NFL level. But I think you can mitigate that with all of the other factors that you have working in your favor. Home field advantage being one of them. We talk teams. A lot of teams travel really well to AT&T. The Giants are never one of them. Never. A lot. You'll see a lot of red in the stands sometimes. Eagles travel really well for division games a lot of times. Never the Giants. It's always a super pro Cowboy crowd. Season opener, and I think the Cowboys are just better.
Yeah, and you said red zone and easy in the same sentence, like easy.
Well, quotation. That's the hope.
That's the hope, and I do think that when you talk about how's this year going to be better in a lot of ways. We'll see if Kellen Moore's been working on it. He's got to be working on the red zone stuff all year long. I think your center is going to be better, which is recognizing different things. Your quarterback should be better for just being a year older in the system, and then Jason Witten at tight end. So I think that those are 3 really good reasons why, maybe 4 good reasons why the red zone should be better this year.
I know Jerry Jones was in New York this morning at the stock exchange, so I know this didn't happen, but I like to imagine he stopped by Garrett's office with Zeke's contract and threw it on the desk and was like, here you go, no more excuses. And then Jason Garrett picked up that contract and walked down the hall to Kellen Moore's office and threw it on the desk and said, here you go, no more excuses, because there aren't any more.
All right, let's get to this. No, agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. All right, so let's get to this question I have about the offense. If you look, obviously we know Saquon Barkley is the most important cog in that wheel, but what would be the next best, biggest offensive threat they have? Would it be Sterling Shepard or would it be Evan Ingram?
I think Ingram.
Especially when you look at the matchups. Think about the matchups and who they'd be playing against.
Yeah, I just feel like, even the really good defenses that the Cowboys have had in the last few years, I don't think they're as good as this one. But you've seen that the tight end has been able to kind of hurt him a little bit. So he would be a guy that I think that, he could move the chain. Before you know it, he's 30 yards down the field. And so he would be the one that I think that you would be more worried about.
As somebody who's owned him in fantasy twice, he's never on the field. Like he gets hurt a lot. It's week 1 though. If there's a week where he's going to be available, it's this one. That's interesting because Brian wrote about this. I encourage you to read it on the site. He picked Ingram as one of the Giants' 3 guys to watch, and the Cowboys have struggled with tight end, but also they've had their moments. Jeff Heath, for all the stats, Jeff Heath played Ertz really well when it mattered last year. I wonder if they will let Heath do that again on Sunday, handle Ingram rather than maybe try to put a DB on him or what have you. I think, it's probably Ingram. These cornerbacks have just had such a good camp. I would like to think that. And Sterling Shepard is good. He got an extension in the offseason too. But, Ingram is the bigger X factor because I trust the people that might be covering him less.
I agree with that, and I think you can stop him most of the time, but he's a guy that will sneak in there and make a few plays that you didn't expect. So am I fully worried about him? No, but he would be another guy aside from it.
Did you just say those 2 guys, or are you just saying anybody?
If you got another guy, throw him in there.
Well, I think the Hall of Fame quarterback, like he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He doesn't get sacked a lot. And there's a reason for that because he couldn't take a bunch of hits. He gets the ball out pretty quick. So if those receivers, if Shepard and Ingram, if those guys can get open quick, or maybe Barkley, he relies on that because I do think the defensive line is going to be in his face all day long. But the thing about Eli has always been where he's crafty. He knows how to kind of get away from stuff, maneuver in the pocket, and get the ball out. And if he's moving the chains, there's a reason why he's still the starting quarterback. They could have made the move to Daniel Jones if they really wanted to. I think they still feel like he's better right now.
The
Giants swept them in 16. It's really more about their defense frustrating the Dallas offense than anything. They won one of those games 10-7 and the other one 20-19.
And they don't have 2 of their best defensive players that they had last year. That's the part that should worry them a little bit, I would think.
I know that he has done it during his career. But in the time that I have covered the Cowboys, I have yet to see Eli Manning out-duel them. Just zip them downfield and all that good type. I have not seen that.
Well, right. And what you're saying is the defense, he's relied on a good defense, and he just doesn't make mistakes all the time. He's...
I'm trying to go through...
I'm just saying, like, if it gets in a situation and all of a sudden the game is close or whatever, which I don't think it should be, but if it is, he's a guy that can get the ball down the field and he can move them down the field. He's done this 1,000 times.
No, absolutely. I'm just saying, and they, last year they went back and forth and it was this high-scoring affair. The Cowboys won. 2012 when Dez missed the touchdown, was that 2012 when he missed it by like the tip of his finger? That was probably the last time that Eli outscored the Cowboys, right? Every other time it's kind of been this defensive.
I can't remember what year it was. Miles lost it in the lights at AT&T Stadium.
Yeah.
That was a pretty bad loss.
It's funny. I started in 13, and the Giants were the season opener then. Of course they were. It's every freaking year.
6 out of 8 years. This will be 6 out of the last 8 years they've started with the Giants.
In 2013, it was like, can they finally beat the Giants? Are they going to get over the hump? Finally, beat Big Blue. And in the time I've been here, they always beat the Giants. They got swept in 16, but every other year, it really hasn't been that much of a problem.
Yep.
Real quick before we end the show, I did have a couple questions from Twitter I wanted to hit. Bass Reeves asked the question, how much does Goff's new deal affect Dak? And Jake also followed that up with Zeke contract now finally wrapped up. Who do you expect to hear something about more next? Would it be Dak or Amari? So let's talk a little bit about those other contracts that are out there. How much does the Goff deal affect what they're doing with Dak, or what they want to do with Dak?
It affects a lot, actually. Because he's just another player that's in that mix of in the range of 30. The one thing I have heard about the Goff deal, Goff and Wentz and guys that already had this is like a contract extension, is guaranteed money is playing a big factor there because they're taking the overall. I don't know what Goff's overall number is. I believe it's like 800. It's over 100 million, maybe. But
it's 104 guaranteed.
Guaranteed. But the thing about it is
he
already had about 24, 25 in the first part of it. So
because it's still the last couple of years of his rookie deal.
Because it was the number one deal. Yeah. So it's really about 80 million new. So I think what Dak's camp is trying to get into the 104. But the thing is they're starting at zero because he didn't really have any money guaranteed to start with. So that's kind of one of the hangups that I've heard about the Wentz and Goff deal is that these guys are getting, they're not really dealing with new money. They're dealing with the overall thing.
Yeah, I mean, typically, and talking about following contracts, like that's the way it kind of goes. Is like one deal gets done, and then the next one, and you're like, all right, we can sandwich you somewhere in there. The thing that makes me wonder is, we know Dak's not going to get 40, but if it's true that he's gunning for 35 or 36, then his representation might not care about the Goff deal. You hope they do, and ideally the negotiation brings it down into that range. But if that was the case, part of me thinks they would have had this done by now. Like, if it was that easy as being like, all right, well, this is where we slot in, then it would be done.
Well, maybe it also might be that the Goff deal, they were kind of wanting to see where that one lands. Was Wentz an outlier, or was it kind of consistent? And it seems like the Wentz deal and the Goff deal seem to be pretty parallel. They're pretty close, which would make me think Dak should probably be somewhere in that range of around 32.
Nick,
right?
You would be a great person to ask. When did Romo sign his, not the $100 million one in 13, but when did he sign the one in like 07?
I think it was the bye week of like week 6
or 7.
So
it was during the regular season.
Mm-hmm. It was the bye week, I believe, mid-October.
I think you could see. I think it'll be Dak. I don't think Amari cares, and I think he wants.
Not right now.
And obviously he cares, but not like today.
He's making 14 this year. He's good.
And I think he wants to see what Julio Jones gets for the same reason as Jared Goff. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dak sign anywhere between tomorrow and at some point during the season.
Oh, wow.
I mean, not like I'm not saying
you don't think the point is you don't think he gets to the offseason and actually gets to the point where the Cowboys have to use the franchise tag.
I'm not saying I'm hearing whispers. That's not.
I know, but that's like when they called to say they're going to come. Some repairman's going to come, and we'll be there between 8 a.m. and next Friday. You're like it's Monday. Like, can I get a smaller window than that? You said tomorrow or the end of the season.
I woke up yesterday morning to news that Lyle Collins had signed, and nobody in the world had said anything. So what I mean is, I'm ready for anything. I think Dak will get signed. I would be surprised if it gets to the point where it's like, franchise tag time.
Gotcha.
I would just be surprised by that. Like, there's got to be a way you can come to a compromise, especially if he's willing to negotiate during the season. Stephen Jones said that they have not heard any talks about tabling it, and you have precedent. The last quarterback who rose from making no money to making a lot of money did it. So sometime between tomorrow and the end of the season. Yeah.
Fair.
All right, guys. We appreciate you joining us. We're back tomorrow at 11:45 a.m. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?